The Wither Storm wasn't a legend, it was a disaster that happened in real time. One moment the world was quiet, the next a shape formed in the distance. 3 heads, a body twisting with strange power, and a pull so strong it ripped blocks straight from the ground. By the time anyone understood what it was already growing. Buildings vanished into its core, mobs and players disappeared without a sound, and every second it became larger, stronger, and harder to kill. This is the story of how it began, how it evolved, and why even the most powerful heroes struggled to stop it. Ivor had once stood among the legendary Order of the Stone, but disillusionment turned him away. The group he once admired was built on a lie, and the truth aided him. The Order's so-called legendary power had not come from years of training or courage, but from a single artifact that twisted reality itself, the command block. Feeling betrayed and cast aside, Ivor sought revenge, and his revenge would take form in a creature that could terrify even the bravest. He began with the familiar design of the Wither, the structure known to summon one of the most feared beings in existence. Soul sand and wither skulls placed carefully in their ritual shape. Yet Ivor made one change, one substitution that would alter the outcome completely. Instead of the final soul sand block at the top center, he placed the command block. That single change transformed what should have been a powerful but familiar foe into something altogether different. When the creation came to life, it did so with violent force. The ground shook as an enormous explosion tore outward, a shockwave of energy announcing that something unnatural had just been born. In those first moments, the creature did not move. Its eyes remained closed as though it was gathering strength, completely invulnerable to anything that might strike it. For a few fleeting seconds, the world was silent, as if holding its breath. Then the eyes opened. The Wither Storm had awakened. The instant the storm's eyes opened, the quiet world around it shattered. The first blast came fast, a skull of black energy hurled from one of its heads. It tore through the sky and detonated on the ground with a force that split stone and sent dust rolling across the land. Then another followed, and another, until the earth itself seemed to convulse beneath the fury. Each projectile carved deep scars into the landscape, leaving fire and ruin where grass and trees had stood. Anything alive was targeted. Sheep grazing nearby were caught in the blasts, their bodies thrown apart in seconds. Wandering villagers, frozen in terror, barely had time to cry out before the storm's gaze found them. The heads moved independently, each one locking onto a victim and unleashing destruction. It was a hunt, not a battle. But the explosions were only the beginning. The storm began to feed. Air warped with invisible pressure, tugging at everything in sight. Dirt blocks broke free of the ground, ripped upward as though the world itself were unfastened. Wooden fences splintered. Homes cracked and tore apart. Chunks of farmland lifted whole into the storm's swirling core. Animals bleated and shrieked as they were dragged helplessly off the ground, legs kicking against a pull that could not be resisted. The tractor beam showed no mercy. The more it devoured, the larger it became. Its body stretched and thickened, the rib-like structure expanding as more blocks fused into its mass. Each strike of its beam did not just claim one block or one creature, it claimed dozens. Villages that had taken years to build vanished in minutes, swallowed into the expanding monster above. Travelers on the roads who spotted the beast from afar often thought they could turn and flee, but the storm's reach was vast. Once its eyes fixed on movement, its beams followed without pause. Survivors would look back only to see their path collapsing behind them. The ground ripped away as the creature consumed everything in pursuit. What made it worse was the intelligence behind its hunger. This was not the chaotic destruction of a wild wither. The storm seemed to stalk, to sense, to seek. The amulet carried by Jesse's group became its compass, a glowing marker it never lost sight of. No matter how far they ran, the storm followed, carving a trail of ruin across biomes, mountains, and forests alike. What had been meant as one man's weapon of vengeance had quickly grown into something beyond calculation. It was not simply killing, it was rewriting the landscape, erasing towns and forests, pulling apart the fabric of the world piece by piece. And it was only just beginning. The Wither Storm grew stronger with every passing moment. What started as a large version of the Wither soon became something else entirely. By pulling in blocks, animals, and anything nearby, its size increased beyond normal limits. Its body stretched wider, the structure of ribs and dark mass forming into a shape that could no longer be compared to the creature it came from. 3 heads gave it the ability to target several things at once. Each one fired projectiles that struck with explosive power. On top of that, each head could release a tractor beam, pulling in enemies, animals, and entire sections of terrain. There was no defense once caught in that pull. Even stone and metal were torn free as though they were nothing. The monster also developed long tentacles that flailed from its body. These were not simple extensions. They could strike at anything, dig into the ground, and rip apart even the strongest blocks. Bedrock and obsidian, materials that players usually relied on for safety, gave way under its power. This made the storm unstoppable in any environment. Its abilities did not stop there. Those caught near it risked infection from a condition called wither sickness. Victims weakened over time, drained of energy and life, even if they managed to escape its pull. This sickness served as a reminder that the storm's presence was dangerous beyond direct attacks. Another ability made it even harder to fight. Whenever it took heavy damage, the storm showed signs of splitting. These separate forms were just as aggressive and carried the same weapons: multiple heads, tractor beams, and tentacles. Instead of weakening, attacks often created more threats. Each new form continued to grow and absorb, repeating the cycle again and again. The most alarming trait was its resilience. Normal withers could be destroyed with strong effort, but the wither storm adapted. It absorbed damage, repaired itself, and continued to evolve. Weapons that might have defeated other monsters proved useless here. The storm was built with the command block at its core, and that gave it strength beyond anything in the natural world. The Order of the Stone had long been seen as a group of legendary heroes. Stories were told of their battles, their victories, and the treasures they held. To the outside world, they were symbols of strength and unity. The truth was different. Their greatest achievements had not come from courage alone, but from a single artifact, the command block. It was this hidden detail that set everything in motion. Soren, the architect of the group, had discovered the command block and used it to shape their victories. Instead of endless years of trial and struggle, the block gave them shortcuts, bending reality in ways others could not match. The Order's reputation grew, but the foundation of that reputation was a lie. Ivor, once a member, saw the truth and could not accept it. He felt betrayed, excluded, and determined to reveal what the others kept hidden. That betrayal fueled his decision to build the Wither Storm. By creating a monster no one could ignore, he exposed the cracks in the Order's history. What was meant as revenge soon became a danger to the entire world. During the Storm's rampage, the amulet of the Order became important. Each member carried one, designed so that the colors would glow when a member was nearby. When placed in the Temple of the Order, the amulet revealed the positions of its members across the land. This same property, however, became a target. The Wither Storm locked onto its energy and pursued it without rest. Jesse and his companions could not escape its gaze so long as the amulet remained in their possession. Soren's role also returned during these events. Known for his eccentric mind and fascination with Endermen, he had spent long periods of time studying them in the end. To him, Endermen were more reliable than people. They followed commands, never questioned, and never betrayed. This obsession later proved useful, since Endermen were one of the few creatures able to interfere with the storm by dismantling blocks from its body. The Order's secrets, Ivor's resentment, the power of the amulet, and Soren's strange interests all converged in the fight against the Wither Storm. What began as lies and fractured trust became central pieces in a struggle to end a monster that should never have existed. Once the Wither Storm had grown beyond control, Ivor was forced to face what he had created. His plan for revenge had spiraled into something larger than even he expected. Despite his resentment, he joined Jesse and the group to help find a way to bring the creature down. The first step was survival. The group had to stay ahead of the storm, but its pursuit never slowed. Each time they tried to regroup, the glow of the amulet drew it back to them. Running was not enough. They needed a plan. Soren's knowledge of Endermen provided one of the first openings. By gathering in areas where Endermen were concentrated, the group forced the storm into situations where its body was pulled apart piece by piece. Endermen, unaffected by fear and equipped with the ability to move blocks instantly, could chip away at the massive structure of the monster. This slowed it down but did not defeat it. Ivor then revealed that a weapon could be created powerful enough to end the storm. A book he had written containing instructions tied to the command block described how to build it. With the group's effort, the weapon was crafted. It became their only chance to strike at the heart of the beast. The battles that followed were unlike anything the group had faced before. Each time they closed in, the storm split into new forms or repaired itself. Tentacles lashed, tractor beams tore at the ground, and wither skulls exploded around them. Progress was measured in small victories, keeping it occupied long enough to set the next stage of the plan. The final step required direct confrontation. Jesse climbed into the storm itself, aiming not at its heads or its body, but at the source of its power. The command block embedded deep inside. Only by destroying the very core could the storm be stopped. Armed with the weapon, Jesse struck at the block in a battle fought within the chaos of the monster's own body. The moment the command block was destroyed, the Wither Storm collapsed. Its tentacles, its heads, and its massive body crumbled, blocks raining back down to the ground. The storm that had consumed villages, forests, and entire landscapes was finally gone. The fight had ended, but the cost of victory was still to be felt. The defeat of the Wither Storm came with a price. Among Jesse's group, no loss was felt more deeply than that of Reuben, the loyal pig who had been there since the beginning. Reuben had always been more than a companion. His presence lightened every journey, and his bravery was constant, even when faced with dangers far greater than himself. During the final push against the storm, Reuben played his part. In the chaos of the battle, he stayed close to Jesse, helping in ways that no one else could. When the group's weapons slipped from reach, it was Reuben who made the effort to recover it, climbing through falling debris and broken ground. He succeeded, but the cost was his own safety. Reuben fell during the aftermath of the fight. The storm had collapsed, the command block destroyed, and the world saved. But the small pig who had helped carry the group to this victory could not be saved himself. His passing left Jesse devastated. No words could soften the loss, and no triumph could erase the emptiness it left behind. The others mourned with him. Even Ivor, who had once been the cause of so much anger, could not ignore the sacrifice. Reuben had given everything in the same battle that had redeemed Ivor's mistake. In that sense, his role became symbolic. While a monster born of bitterness had brought despair, a small creature defined by loyalty and courage became the key to ending it. For Jesse, the victory over the storm would always be tied to that moment. The world was safe, but Reuben was gone. The end of the fight was not a celebration, but a reminder that even the greatest triumphs could not come without loss. When the Wither Storm finally collapsed, the land it had passed over was unrecognizable. Forests were stripped away, villages no longer stood, and stretches of terrain had been carved open like wounds. The destruction left behind showed the scale of what had nearly ended the world. Rebuilding would take years, and some places could never be restored to what they had been before. For the Order of the Stone, the truth could no longer be hidden. The lies that had shaped their legend were exposed, and Ivor's anger had been the spark that revealed it all. He was no longer just the villain who built the Wither Storm. By helping Jesse and the group destroy it, he showed that redemption was possible, even for someone whose choices had caused so much suffering. Soren's obsession with Enderman was remembered not as madness, but as foresight. His studies gave the group an advantage in a fight that otherwise had no weaknesses to exploit. The amulet, once only a symbol of the Order's unity, became the tool that tied the whole story together. It had drawn the storm toward the group, but it had also connected them in their efforts to resist it. Jesse carried the heaviest memory of all. The loss of Reuben was proof that victory carried weight. The pig had been there from the beginning, and his sacrifice became the part of the story that could never be forgotten. While the world had been saved, Jesse knew the cost of that safety in a way no one else could. The story of the Wither Storm was more than the rise and fall of a monster. It was about the danger of unchecked power, the damage caused by betrayal, and the chance for redemption when mistakes are faced. It ended with a reminder that even the strongest victories are built on sacrifice. The storm was gone, but its shadow remained in memory, shaping the path forward for everyone who had survived it. This was all for the entire story of the Wither Storm. If you want to see more videos like this, please click the video on the screen now.